So here we are at Mo Vegas, Marshalltown Speedway. Jerry Vansickel, this is the place you spend most of your life now.
99 points in the summer.
Yeah.
A lot of time gets spent here.
Most of the time, very slowly.
6.2 mile an hour.
Yes, in the old water truck and the sheep's foot. Do you call it a sheep's foot or just a packer?
Sheep's foot.
Okay, that's good enough. Did you ever see yourself being a promoter?
I didn't know that I'd ever be a promoter. It was always something that I wanted to do. You know, it's being as involved in the sport as I have, it was the next transition, and the next step was to get in a role to be general manager, promoter, whatever you want to call it. And, you know, be at my day-to-day operation, be what I do for a living.
You wear many hats. None today, but you wear a lot. Yeah, I know the styling's always perfect. You wear a lot of hats in this sport. Not just announcing, you sell sponsorship, you know, billboards, things like that. You're involved in a number of different places, yeah?
Yeah. You know, between, you know, announcing, flagging, you know, helping with, you know, just sponsorship, marketing partners, social media. Just, there's so much in our sport that you better be able to switch a hat real quick.
And
be able to wear them.
Yeah, and public relations, you know, sir,
you need to.
That kind of blew up pretty quickly during the weekend, didn't it?
Sometimes you go viral for things. Sometimes they go viral for things.
Yeah, sometimes you're the bug, sometimes you're the windscreen.
Yes.
But Spencer is always going to be special to me because firstly, it's where we had our first creamsicle and our bacon balls.
Yes.
But secondly, because it's the home, the worldwide headquarters of methanol moonshine.
Yes, where if you live in 39 different states in America, you can have it shipped right to your front door.
Exactly right. So what are the challenges of being a promoter in 2024?
There's so many. I mean, it's, you know, what a lot of people don't realize, and I think some do and some don't, you deal with everything that somebody can throw at you. You have to deal with weather, staff, racers, fans,
Track conditions,
track equipment, neighbors, the community, the mayor, the police chief, the fire chief, EMT. You know, but those are things that some of those you don't deal with on race night. You deal with behind the scenes. You know, you may get an email from the police chief. Hey, we noticed you ran a little late last night. Hey, we're sorry.
So you have a curfew?
There isn't always ordinance in town, and we do our best to be done by that time. But you know, when you've got 200 race cars here, it's, you know, we run a very tight ship. Start on time, don't waste any time. You know, self-induced curfew. City's really good to work with. I mean, you know, I'm in the community a lot. You know, whether it be advertising on the radio, on a couple different radio stations, just being involved with the downtown merchants with some of the things they do, being a chamber member. I think being in the community helps with when you get that email, hey, we're not being mean, but we're just reminding you. So, and I think if you don't have those kind of working relationships, that email is a lot different. And I also think being in the community and being what Marshalltown has been for the community, the community leaders and the businesses know what this little racetrack does for the town.
This city has quite a diversity. When I drove into town, I went to check out Marshalltown BWS, where they actually stock methanol moonshine. There's a couple of big factory units. There's a very diverse community and demographics here.
Yeah, we, you know, Fisher Controls, you know, Lennox Heating and Air Conditioning. I mean, Lennox and Fisher's have been around, and Emerson, they've been here forever. You know, if you look if you go down to your basement and you see a Lennox furnace or a Lennox air conditioning unit, it more than likely was made in Marshalltown, Iowa. There's a lot of industry. You know, a lot of times if you know, when you go to your supermarket and you buy pork that says Swift on it, it's processed right here in Marshalltown with JBS pork, with a kill and processing facility. right here in Marshalltown. Plus, just your average everyday businesses that are here. But it's a pretty diverse little town. There's a lot of different ethnic groups, which, sometimes that's a challenge in the community. And one thing we have seen is a little more, of not what you would consider your everyday blue collar race fan that comes out. We do see our Hispanic population starting to come out and taking interest in the sport. And I think that's just being, there again, they know somebody or somebody knows somebody. Hey, let's go. I do some free tickets, with some of those businesses that cater to the different ethnics in town. And it's just about getting out there and getting our sport and getting the racetrack, in front of people that wouldn't normally think about coming here.
So for years and years, you've been friends with a lot of the races that you announce. Suddenly you become the guy you're promoting.
Yep.
That makes it complex at times, doesn't it? Because suddenly you have to have a harder stance or a bigger set of rules in play than what you normally would have had to enforce.
Yeah, sometimes you just got to throw the sack up over your shoulders and do what you have to do, and it's a fine line. I'm, as many people know, I can be pretty gruff real quick. I've had to slow myself down,
Because you're in a people business.
Yeah, I've had to slow myself down. I did 27 years of retail. That right there in itself hardens a person. So if you go somewhere and you're shopping for things, be nice to the person on the other side of the counter. They're just doing a job.
And lately too, they're the only ones doing a job.
Exactly. So, and I think I can take some of that and bring over into here, but you still have to have a little bit of an iron fist. You have to, if something happens, you got to be able to handle it. You got to be able to figure out the situation, walk up to it. It's always like I say, and I've gotten better at it over the years. You don't go running into a burning house to save lives. You walk in slowly to figure out how to make everybody come out alive. Same way with everybody says, when an ambulance shows up at a car wreck, they're methodically slow. What they're doing is they're sizing up they're sizing up the environment of, okay, what do we need? What has happened here? What have we got to do? Same thing if you get an incident in the pits and, hey, they're over here screaming and this guy just hit this guy or punched him in the mouth. You got to walk up slowly. You don't go run into it. You just walk up slowly and gain your composure and be like, okay, who's in trouble here? Or who's not going to be in trouble? Because sometimes if you go to those situations and a track official doesn't see it, it's the he said, she said, and then you open a can of worms. So sometimes less is more on some of that stuff. But like on the racetrack when things happen, they come in the infield hot, and I'm the first guy they want to scream at. The promoter is, and with where our sport is right now, it's those, for lack of better terms, those butt chewings are coming more often, and I think you just got to be able to figure out how to handle them a little better on both sides.
Are there 12 light poles or 14?
Here there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 poles on the infield.
And in Boone?
There are 12 on the infield.
Which your brother managed to strike one of those.
Yes, he hit the 12th one on the infield at Super Nationals.
That was my way of segueing into talk about Jason. He is the racing portion of your family. He's the guy that does the behind the steering wheel stuff, but also a very important electrician and pretty handy with his hands. Not to bring his wife into the conversation. But you represent the Vansickels have had a pretty long and deep history in this sport on both sides of the fence.
Yeah, everybody always asks how I got involved, and if it wasn't for my dad, I wouldn't be here or doing what I did. We went to the races as kids. We went to races as a family. Mom necessarily didn't really like it, but it was what we did. And it turned into, before there was Flow and IMCA TV and all these streamers, my dad had a VHS camera on his shoulder and taping the races.
Yeah, right.
So, I filmed down here for years. There's, a lot of people have got races from Marshalltown in the late 80s, early 90s from down here. In 1987 was the first year I came to Marshalltown as a kid and sat over in turn one grandstands right up in the very top corner. And, remember, how this place looked. I can still stand in certain spots of the racetrack and say, oh, I remember when this used to have a big light hole hump here, or this was not here, or this was that way. But, if it wasn't for him doing what he was doing, that's how I got to meet promoters, and that's how I got to, be that kid that wanted to do everything. And I'm not gonna lie, hey, can I help? Can I help? Can I help? Can I help? And I knew early what I wanted to do. I always wanted to flag. I always wanted to be the flagman. Always watched the flagman. Listen to the announcer, watch what happened on the racetrack. There was kids in the stands that would watch exactly what their favorite racer was doing. I had my favorite racers. I watched them, but I also watched what was going on. And, it never had any desire to race, didn't want to own a car. Didn't want to work at it that hard. Didn't want somebody to tear me up and then I have to work on it to go racing the next day. I just, if I was going to work on something, it was going to be, water truck broke down. Let's figure out how to work this thing back together.
I love the view that you get here with the big water tower in the background with the big Marshalltown. It's a great photo opportunity. And you carry both the Iowan flag and the American flag. And in your street, in Abandale, that very exotic sounding...
We live in Abandale.
Yes, the Pacific Island area. You carry both those flags in your front yard. You're actually one of the few people in your street that does.
Yeah,
Did you know that?
Yeah. Oh, trust me, I know. When I moved to the neighborhood, I'm like, first thing that goes up, big old flagpole. It's just, and a lot of places. I mean, I leave the flag fly here. It goes up in April and it'll come down the last night of the season. I just think it's neat when you roll into a place and the first thing you see is the American flag and you see your state flag and it's like anything here. I just take pride in it, take pride in our country, take pride in our state, take pride in our racetrack, and I don't say it's my racetrack or it's I run this or I this. It's always our, because it is a group effort, whether it's the staff that works here, whether it's the racers, the fans. I mean, this is our little playground. We all get to come here on Friday nights in the summer and have fun. Whether fun for you is being pissed off at somebody and hitting them in the mouth, or just being able to go on the racetrack and run 17th, but you had a good time. Or sit in the grandstand with your kids or your grandkids or your buddies or your girlfriends, or it's your first date, or you decided one morning you were going to wake up in eastern Pennsylvania and drive to Marshalltown on Friday night to watch the races, which has happened on more than one occasion.
Speaking of first dates, do you remember when you first met Ryan Clark, and did you both immediately like each other? Because I could imagine this going either way. Did you like each other, or were you a little bit...
I don't know that we really do like each other. No. I mean, Ryan and I have been great friends. I mean, dear closest friends for, gosh, it was even before we started announcing Super Nationals together. I knew who he was. Just, he was editor of Hawkeye Racing News. I read Hawkeye Racing News. He did a column in there. Would read that. And met him through, when he was, I think there's only been maybe 1 or 2 years that he announced Super Nationals that we haven't been together. The fondest story is, one of the first times we met is I was standing on the roof of the Scores Tower at Boone during Super Nationals and was winging peanut shells off the top and hitting him down in the grandstands, trying to get his attention, just, F with him. And he still tells that story. Oh, I remember you throwing them damn peanut shells over the top at me. And I think it just, we met there, and then it was, from there it was just, it's a friendship you can't explain. It's like things that happen out here that nobody sees Monday through, Saturday through Thursday. You can't explain it because, you can have anything out here happen. I mean, we had a windstorm come up one day and blew down all the billboards in turn 4. Nobody saw it. Nobody knew it. I didn't even see it, but the guy working with me comes bailing out, taking cover, and the billboards are blown all the way over. Well, what do? You go back to work, put it together. And those are the things I think that are the most important things that people in our industry, or people that come out as fans or racers. I've always said if you came out during when it's not race time, you'd see that, and that's in a friendship. You know, Ryan and I have that unique friendship that for 8 days people live through. You know, you live in it. You live in that crazy world, and they see that. But there's the other times, you know, where it's like you're having a bad day. Hey, what are you doing? Let me vent here a little bit. You know,
yeah.
You know, being that friend, and the chemistry is there. It's like we've known each other for 40 years. And it's fun. It's fun.
What have you got left this season here at Marshalltown?
So we'll have the Fast Shafts Harvest Hustle on the high banks.
Fast Shafts. You got to say it like Brett Root. Fast Shafts.
Yeah. That'll be October 24th with the practice. We'll have qualifying night with 2 sets of heat races to qualify and lock in the top 10s based off finishing and passing points. And then we'll have Saturday night features. That modifieds is $4,000 to win, $400 to start. Stock cars is $3,000 to win, $300 to start. Hobby stocks, thanks to Fast Shafts, is $3,000 and $300. Sport mods are $2,000 to win, $200 to start. Hobby stocks and mod lights are $1,000 to win.
It's a pretty
each.
big total point fund.
Yeah, you know, looking at it, it's, you know, we'll pay out just in the features alone that night, almost $73,000. You know, and that doesn't include the non-qualifiers pay. So it's going to be a big show. We've had, you know, since we released it, you know, like at Super Nationals, had a lot of people. Hey, what's going on? What's going on? We see it. Just I'm working on all the details, and when the details come out, there's been a lot of interest. I think it's going to be.
Bring your hoodie that night.
Yes,
yeah.
Bring your hoodie, and if you don't bring a hoodie, I'm sure we will have some Harvest Hustle hoodies for sale at the concession stand or the souvenir stand. But I think it's going to be, you know, it's the last race weekend of October. It's going to be one of the last races. You know, there's another race happening across the state, but we're going to be the last. I mean, it's the last race in the state, last race of the year, and you know, then if the weather's good on the first Sunday of December when I get back from the dome, we may have a practice too. I mean, you know, it's that's kind of the fun thing about here and the weather right now, is you don't know. You know, last year when we did all the work to the racetrack, had guys, can we get a practice? Can we get a practice? I'm like, I can't get any water. Went to the city. Hey, well, this is what we can do. Okay.
So that's how you get your water.
Yeah, it comes from the city. You write them a check.
You don't have a big water source or something.
No,
that would be nice.
Yeah, trust me, it'd be nice. But those years that it's, you know, there's no rain, it becomes a problem. Your little pond dries up.
I was driving along behind you in the Pimpala before, weaving in and out of the traffic like we were lined up behind the pace car at Talladega. Mm-hmm. And I was playing a bit of John Mellencamp's Scarecrow. Yeah. Which is always my go-to when I start feeling melancholy about leaving Iowa. This is a remarkable place, this part of the world. It's very genuine. I wish more outside America saw this America. Yeah, you know, I know so many people that have left the Midwest or left Iowa that I grew up with, or, you know, and they end up coming back. I think there's a lot to be said about what we have. Iowa nice. Yeah, the Iowa nice. You know, I think there's a lot to be said about that. Can we be pricks and all that stuff? We can, but you know, I've always said, whether it's the racing community, you know, we all rally around each other, and I think that's what the state of Iowa lives around is, you know, I mean, we see it. I've seen it so many times. I remember as a kid, and it even happened here a couple of years ago. Little town I grew up in, Radcliffe. Farmer got sick, got cancer. Right at harvest time, couldn't take his crop out, couldn't nothing. Neighbors stopped what they were doing, and they got his crop to market, to the elevator in Ben's before they did theirs. And I think, you know, that's something that you always remember. You know, one of them was it was a guy just 2 miles from us, and it was crazy to watch all the combines and tractors and you know, this is back when, you know, I grew up where, you know, like, you know, I baled hay and walked beans and shelled corn, and at noon you stopped, and it was your grandma or your aunt or whoever always brought out a big meal, and you ate at noon, and saw that, you know, again happening. The ladies bringing out lunch, bringing out dinner. I mean, and
it happens in the racing community too. I mean, it's no different than here. I know that if on Wednesday night I have a problem with a piece of equipment, I can pick up the phone and call somebody. I'm on the way. Or know that it's not fixable. Hey, have you got an extra water truck I can come over and get? Yep, get over here and get it. Or an extra tractor, or maybe a chisel plow. We just all, that's the nicest of it. We all try, you know, and I think working together is the biggest thing, you know. Racetracks working together, people working together, businesses working together. And that's what makes it so fun to be around here. And I think that's one reason I've never left is everything I want is right here. And if I want to go somewhere else, I can travel to it and come back to where it's comfortable and where I feel right at home.
It's not a flyover state. To me, it's a fly to state.
Yeah.
Always good to see you, mate.
Always the best to see you.
Marshalltown Speedway. What dates again for your hustle?
October 24th, 5th, and 6th. All the information's online at marshalltownspeedway.com.
Or doctor.
Check our Facebook out. Okay, that's where you get all the latest, the up to the second information.
When are we going to promote a race at Motorboat Yehuda'sville Shire? And
I don't know if it's a race I'm going to promote there. Maybe it'll be a wildlife activity event.